Hello everyone, here we are with AFC North. Let's talk about how their free agency went and what should they do with their draft. And we start with Cleveland Browns. And yeah, they are not on fire in terms of they are hot. They are kind of on fire in terms of, well, this team is not good and their future is looking quite abysmal. Let's face it. Well, let's break it down, shall we? Okay, so how did they do in terms of the offseason? So here are the guys they've lost, and the grades that I'm assigning to them is the grades that the teams that signed them are going to get given. So letting go of Jameis Winston to me was kind of a weird decision. The signing kind of was on the wall, with him not actually like playing all the games down the stretch last year, but to me he was the guy that made them fun to watch. And when you are this team that doesn't really have too much going on for yourself, being fun to watch is actually a good thing. So I didn't know this money that Giants gave him is like, you don't have cap space, but yeah, you could have for this. And like Shedder Sanders is not a better QB than Jameis is right now. I'm not saying that his ceiling is not better. And Cam Ward is most likely not going to be there for you. So I don't know. They traded for Kenny Pickett and signed Joe Flacco. It's like, who is playing quarterback for this team? I still don't know. And I kind of would be most interested to watch them with Jameis Winston over any QB that they have signed as of right now. And if this is a move that actually kind of makes them take Shadur as number 2, then good luck. Really good luck. Okay, Quan Thornhill, kind of a very cheap and good signing for the Steelers, in my opinion. The fact they let him go, it's like, I kind of get it, but they have still like Graham Delpit, but like, I guess Ronnie Hickman deserves a shot. So okay, you want to know what you have in him, fine by me. Not really a huge problem with that. Where I actually do have a problem is Dalvin Tomlinson, and to me, letting him go kind of sucks for you. Like, he is a really good player in my opinion, and the number he signed for with Cardinals is actually not like that super high. But like with the cap situation for the Browns, yeah, kind of had to let go some of the players, and with Mike Hall being like the big investment last season, and there is a couple of really nice defensive tackles in this draft. It sucks for you, but this was actually a wise decision for the Browns. Now, these are the guys that as of right now should not be signed by anyone else, but were on the team. Obviously, the big name here is Nick Chubb. There was a video that I saw like yesterday of him when he was like squatting 500 pounds or something crazy like that. I wish that he's going to continue his career in the NFL. I would hate for him to like kind of end it on this like weird note that after gruesome injury he came back, but he kind of was not really himself. Wonder where it's going to be with the Browns. I feel like I wish to see him in another jersey, but it kind of makes sense for him to be a Brown, at least for next season. So we'll see what's going to happen. Jerry Wills, Maurice Hurst, like kind of whatever in terms of letting these guys go. And now towards the guys that they have signed. Now we start with like first page of their signings, and I actually like these signings a lot because these signings to me actually represent what this team, in my eyes, should have been doing this offseason. And it was like signing cheap players, nice deals that kind of like let you be competitive in a way, but you are starting to pay your dues for sins of the past in terms of cap hit that you pushed around, and that they have like so many dead cap money that you have to count on players like this. And actually, I feel like they found really solid value for guys that they know they here could have a shot of being starters, so they kind of don't mind taking slightly less than, to me, is their value on the market, because if they play very good, they could really get a really nice contract after this contract ends. It especially counts for Joe Tryon. But to me, Devin Bush, yeah, he looked very good last season. And for Cornelius Lucas, he kind of did as well for the Washington. Like, is there such a huge discrepancy between Cornelius Lucas and Dan Moore? Like, yeah, Cornelius Lucas is older, but like in terms of actual performance, yeah, I think Dan Moore is like slightly better, but you know, so actually getting, I don't want to say like 27th best left tackle in the league for this price was a very good deal in my opinion, and one of my favorites in this offseason. But now let's talk about the signings I didn't like. And the first one, the major one, is Myles Garrett. And I think Myles Garrett is the best player in the league. I think that. Like, if you disregard the positions, I think Myles Garrett is the best player in the league. But I absolutely hate. I think it's a lose for everyone that he resigned here. It's lose for Myles, in my opinion, because I feel like Browns in there is only Saints that I would say have less chance of actually winning the Super Bowl in next 5 years than the Browns. That's one. B, yeah, I get he got a huge amount of money, but don't tell me that other team would not pay him the same minus 15-20 millions. And yeah, it sounds like it's a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. Like, yeah, give me 20 million and I'll take it. But for him, given how much he already earned in his career, I would say that taking 15 or 20 million less, but actually chasing rings and, you know, fighting for Super Bowls would be like more valuable. You know, like, I know money kind of takes care of everything, but I mean, the urge of winning. He's a competitor, his ultimate competitor. I would say give him 20 million less and play for someone that has a chance to win a Super Bowl would be better for him. For Cleveland, I think it's a lose as well, because this move signals that they have not realized that their window is not open. They don't have a window to win a Super Bowl. Let's be honest, like that team with the amount of dead cap hit that is on this roster, with like who is playing QB, like no, they are just not winning Super Bowl in next few years. Like, yeah, everything can happen, but I don't know, like odds of them actually winning Super Bowl in next 3 years, I would say is like 50 plus, so less than 2% in like all of, like add the chances for all of the years combined that they win at least once. So they are very unlikely to win it. I think it's a lose for other teams because A, they didn't get Myles Garrett, and B, Browns kind of overpaid in terms of how much they overshot the next non-QB contract. Then that number actually like raises what Bengals had to pay to Jamar Chase, etc., etc. So other teams are not only losing by not having Myles Garrett, but also because they have to play their stars slightly more money. And I think NFL loses because you want to see Myles Garrett in the playoffs, man. Like, you really want. And, like, is it going to be reality? And if so, it's most likely one and done in the next couple of years or in his prime. So, I think it's a lose for everyone. I feel like what Browns hold over Saints, hold over other franchises that are not in a great position is trading Myles Garrett would have jump-started your rebuild, like, so much. You could have got, I don't know, 3 first-round picks, some interesting prospect. Like, you could have gotten so much for Myles Garrett because he is freaking awesome. But this kind of leaves you in the limbo where I don't think you are going to be as bad as we were last season. But also, like, you know, do you feel like in this division with Pittsburgh that is always going to be above 500 and Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow, you are winning this division? Like, no. You think you are winning playoffs on the road against Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Jackson, Stroud? No. So what are we doing here? So that is my whole problem with Myles Garrett signing. Okay, let's focus on other guys. Malik Collins, I feel like his signing kind of sucks to me. Why I'm not like a huge fan, because Actually, between him and Dalvin Tomlinson, the contracts are quite close in terms of actual cap hits because they pushed a lot of money for Malik Collins for next couple of seasons. That I feel like you could have gotten much better player for slightly more, or like really, why would you go for Malik Collins? So I don't necessarily say that he's not worth the money they are paying him. I feel like they are not in the situation to pay average or below average player that amount of money. Either really, try to actually push that window and sign Dalvin Tomlinson. Don't like be cheap like this and actually have this difference in terms of quality of the players. Tevin Jenkins, that's one signing. I absolutely don't understand the league. Why? Like Seahawks, why Seahawks? Why the hell we did not sign Tevin Jenkins? Like I get, he's a guard, not offensive tackle. Sorry for misclick there. But dude, it's like when he is on the field, he is top 20-ish guard in the league. And he's going to get paid $3 million this season. Because 1.8 this season and they pushed 1.2 towards next season, but that's just from financial perspective. He's going to get paid $3 million. I'm like, Seahawks, come on. Like, okay, maybe this guy gets injured, but for this price, you are not counting on that. You can stumble into him having a really good, healthy season. Great. If he gets injured, like, okay, you spent $3 million on it. Like, who cares in a way? It's like, love this signing for the Browns. I absolutely doesn't understand why nobody else like took this guy, and especially my Seahawks where we don't really have guards. So I don't get it. Like it for the Browns though. Next signings: Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco. I think they are solid because they are cheap, and it's like better than having DTR playing. I would still rather have Jameis Winston there, either of these two guys. But I feel like Joe Flacco, nice story, coming back towards Browns after 2023 season. Kenny Pickett, I feel like he showed some flashes, but let's face it, it's something very, very different to operate behind the offensive line of the Eagles with Saquon, etc., rather than playing pretty much anywhere else. So we will see who wins the battle if they add another QB into the mix. But anyway, like this was the type of signings, and the same goes for Jameis. Like, yeah, you should really look for cheap QB that like will make you that your fans doesn't have to pull hair out, because like when you watch DTR, it was hard to watch, but also you need to start paying your dues for your mishaps from the past. So yeah, kind of solid signings. What does it mean for their roster? So they are kind of a team that actually has quite a decent interior offensive line. So decent that Tevin Jenkins doesn't even make the starting lineup, which is kind of weird because he's really good. But let's be fair, Whiteteller might get injured. They might try to trade one of these guys, and it's really nice to have Tevin Jenkins. But again, like I think they at this point, as of right now, they have a better guard on the bench that Seahawks have a starting guard. Like for $3 million, I'm sick of that. Okay, like this is actually quite a solid line. Unfortunately for the Browns, it's not as great as we thought coming into last season. Pretty much all of those guys like regress from what we thought they were or they are going to be, and it seems like the age is catching up on them. Like Whiteteller is 31, Bitonio 34, Poach is 30, Conklin 31. So it makes sense. It's going to be by far the oldest offensive line. I think like there is not a guy under 30 on the starting, but that's solid line. So they at least you have that. But the problem is like pretty much none of these guys is signed post this year, beside Lucas and Conklin. As of right now, I would probably think that Kenny Pickett is the starter, because if you stumble into him having really good year, maybe you can have your QB of the future for like a bridge QB for a couple of years, because I don't really see him like ever reaching like Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, this kind of redemption story. I don't think it's in Kenny Pickett, but weirder things happened. In terms of the playmakers, so yeah, they're kind of lacking in this department. David Njoku was a guy that I thought they might trade if they were really honest about the situation and trying to really burn it into the grounds, like with the span of 2 years, kind of clear themselves of the debts and jumpstart their rebuilds. I feel like David Njoku would be gone. It seems like they are going kind of in this weird situation that they still try to win and feel like they can win. I don't think they can. I don't think they can compete on like the playoff type of level. I mean, look at the hosts. Like there is Jerry Jeudy, who had on a really good team. He's your number 2. Here he's like by far the best wide receiver. Jerome Ford, you probably go with him as your running back, but is it very exciting? Not necessarily. And Cedric Tillman is your 2. So yeah, this is your playmakers. I mean, not very exciting. Not very exciting indeed. In terms of backups, at least the offensive line has some solid backups in Davon Jones and Tevin Jenkins. You have Joe Flacco, but in terms of playmakers on tight end, wide receiver, and running back, I don't really know. There is so many holes on this team. It's like, who is their third best wide receiver? David Bell, Jamari Trash. Their second best tight end, Brendan Bates. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I really don't know. So we're a lot of holes on this offense. You don't have a QB. You pretty much don't have wide receiver core. I mean, you have a solid running back. You have a great tight end, but really no one else. And Njoku only has 1 year left on his contract. So yeah, this team is not very well set up in terms of offense. Let's talk about defense. Obviously, that's a much better conversation, especially when you have Myles Garrett. In terms of interior, Shelby Harris and Michael Hall, very solid. That's also why I kind of am a little bit mad about them for signing Malik Collins, because he is expensive. I don't think he's the guy that you should be signing in your cap situation when you actually have 2 solid players, and Michael Hall and Shelby Harris, obviously veteran, 34, not really someone you count on, but he should be able to get through the season. And Michael Hall, you hope that he is going to be your future there, so you want him to play as much of games as you can. And this is a good draft for defensive tackle. So I don't like my Malik Collins. Isaiah McGuire, as of right now, he might be a starter opposite to Myles Garrett, which I would like. He is a very, very interesting player. I feel like this is exactly the type of player that in total rebuild you would be super happy that he's there and he's getting snaps. If you are trying to convince yourself that you are about to be winning something, you probably should be a 3, not a 2. In terms of linebackers, this is actually a very solid team for linebacker. JOK is really, really great. The only question for him is how he's going to come back from the injury. Jordan Hicks, very, very solid veteran. The same you go and say about Devin Bush. In terms of secondary, so the situation is you have Denzel Ward, who is really, really great, but Greg Newsome and Martin Emerson, again, similar to the offensive line, but with offensive line, their downfall last season from we thought that they could be a top 5 offensive line. They really weren't. But it's age kind of came for them. But for these 2 guys, they should have been on the uprise for both Newsome and Emerson. And they were abysmal last season. So, and you really cannot say their defensive line doesn't generate pass rush. Well, where is Myles Garrett? There is a pass rush. So they really were bad. And with both of them, it's I think they both have 1 year left on the contract. And it's from year before last season, you thought, well, we are set for our corners. Right now it might be we have 1 guy for 2026. In terms of safeties, Grant Elpit, solid veteran, learning Hickman is getting his shot. It's a solid duo, nothing you rave about, but also nothing that you are scared. But yeah, I think Emerson and Newsome, that's a duo that is playing for a lot, for both for them and for this team. They are kind of counting on them. In terms of backups, I feel like the secondary doesn't really have that many great players. To me, it's like 5 players, and that's pretty much it. So also with like the questions about the future of Emerson and Newsome, hello. I would definitely address the cornerback in this draft. In terms of like D-line, there are solid backups in Collins, Tran, and Wright. And like I said, I like Devin Bush signing because he's cheap and he's very, like, he was playing very solid for them last season. So that's how like their roster kind of shaped up post free agency. Now let's look what this means for their draft, or what I would do with their draft. There is so many needs on this team, and just to be told, if they did not resign Myles Garrett and traded him for plethora of picks, then I would be super happy with staying put at number 2 and most likely getting Abdul Carter as my like replacement for Myles Garrett. As it stood, I was really torn between staying put at number 2 and trading down and generate some picks. At the end of the day, I was like, well, I would try to behave like the Browns because they do feel like they are still good. They could win something. So yeah, let's act like that is the case. With that being said, I was like, okay, give me my like. I like Travis Hunter. It was obviously Travis or Abdul, and I like Travis Hunter a lot. And I think like he fits here quite nicely. Like he would be immediately their second best wide receiver at worst. I think he could overcome Jerry Jeudy within the first year. And in terms of corners, like with these, with both Emerson and Newsome kind of being on this short leash in terms of like, we want you guys to show up, but if you continue to play like last season, you are benchable, then Travis Hunter definitely like generates that pressure on them. So it could work, and I definitely see them like a big possibility of them drafting Travis Hunter. But with that being said, I was like, if there is one thing that, like, if I should believe that the Browns can actually do something this year, to me, Travis Hunter doesn't move that needle for me because, you know, even though he's an exceptional player, like he would still get being thrown by like Kenny Pickett. Yeah, I don't think that moves the needle. But if, you know, we can generate as much pressure as we can with Abdul Carter, hopefully Michael takes a step up, and Myles Garrett, give me that. That could be a recipe for the success. And so that's what I went for. With that being said, as I said, there is so many holes. So it was pretty much being on the clock and looking at the board and kind of, you know, like I still have 5 huge needs. Which of these guys that is still available is kind of the best fit and the best value? And that's how I kind of approached the next 4 picks. So Higgins, Henderson, Milroe, and Parrish was, I need all of these positions for sure. I want to draft. And it was like, yeah, I'm just looking at the board and trying to kind of react to how it's falling to me. I don't think I have luxury to trading up. So that's how I kind of approach this draft. And I actually really liked it because I feel like I've filled holes with really interesting players. And again, like this is something that they could accomplish in this draft despite not having an extra picks. Like imagine how this team could look like in 2027 if they had like extra first round picks, like 2 this year and 1 next year. Like optimizing for 2027 could have been awesome for this team in my eyes, whilst like clearing the depths. It didn't go this route, but yeah, you know me, I tend to get stuck on some things that I really hate. With the rest of the draft, it was like, well, we still have a lot of problems, so I'm just trying to address them with guys that I feel like are the best fits or best value on this team. As you can see, like, yeah, I went for 3 wide receivers at the end of the day because it's like I have 2, one that I really like, one that's on good team is number 4, and the one that I like is number 2. So yeah, let's just kind of throw several young guys in the play because I feel like all of them have a chance to actually play and see what happens. So that would be my draft for them as of right now. And like, it was hard, actually, like not only talking about Browns, but like drafting for them and stuff, because it's depressing. I actually feel like their front office made a lot of great moves, but they made a big one for Deshaun Watson that just failed so spectacular for them. And it kind of bounced them to still try to do something in this window. Because, like, also, whilst I hate Myles Garrett resigning, it felt like, yeah, it's going to happen because, like, Kevin Stefanski is there, and it's like, if you trade Myles Garrett, you are kind of saying, well, okay, we are going to go 4-13, something like that. And we are probably going to fire Kevin Stefanski, and we like Kevin Stefanski, but like, we cannot sell not firing him. So it was like his job on the line, probably GM's job on the line. So either it needed to like come from the top and be like, okay guys, we made this one mistake, happened. Now we actually like what you do otherwise, whether it's from coaching, whether it's from wheeling and dealing. We understand that, in a normal situation, we should be fired after another 4-13 season that would come after Myles Garrett trade. But we actually want you there for this rebuild. That was like kind of the only case in which they could have moved forward, but it seems like their ownership didn't do it, didn't step in, and so therefore it was like in the GM/coach's hand. And for them, it's like, yeah, they are coaching or like doing for their job. For their job, it's much better to have Myles Garrett on this roster than not. So yeah, kind of a weird situation that was kind of expected, but yeah, in terms of like future of this franchise, I feel like it's a bad move. Enough being said about the Browns. Let's go for some better teams, okay? And we go for Baltimore Ravens. Their offseason was kind of quiet. As expected, they didn't have too much space. So they let two guys go that I'm absolutely okay for them. I feel like Brandon Stevens, for what Jets paid him, like I would never resign him for this type of money. I feel like he's 7-8 million top a year. They gave him something like 10, 11, something like that, 12 even. Yeah, it feels like 12 if I'm counting correctly. So I don't like this move for the Jets. Patrick McCarry is a nice player, but again, like with your cap space being tight, you just cannot afford to pay a guy that is kind of a swing, perhaps starting like low starting guard for you to pay him this amount of money. So yeah, I absolutely get that. They also let go several veterans. Travis White, Nelson Aguilar, kind of whatever. Marcus Williams was a surprising one because like he had spectacularly bad season last year, but he's still like 28 or something like that, and like the fact that they like cut him kind of tells you that they really don't expect comeback from him, which is quite weird because like I rather thought like it might have been a bad year, but the way that they actually designed him for post 1st June cut is like, okay, they are really telling the world that this was not a 1 year thing, which is very interesting because like 3 years ago, Marcus Williams was one of the prime safeties in the league. With that being said, let's watch some other moves. So what they did actually was resigning Ronnie Stanley. And yeah, what a great signing. I mean, he got less money than more. Like good for Ravens. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I mean, Ronnie doesn't look that happy about it. I mean, if he waited a little bit, I think he would have gotten more money. But it seems like, yeah, he's happy where he is. He has a chance to win Super Bowl, so why not? I really like Cooper Rush resigning because A, I think Cooper Rush is actually an underrated player in the league. B, I think he actually, like, if we go 3 years past, if you are talking about the backup for Lamar Jackson, you want an athlete. Now you actually want a guy that, primary can throw a ball. Cooper Rush actually like was quite solid for Dallas for like last 2 years whenever he needed to back up for Dak Prescott. So yeah, quite a cheap deal, very nice player. I think he's very solid locker room guy. Right the signing. D-Hop, it's crazy that we are talking about D-Hop, $5 million a year, and actually not raving about the signing. Like, this is so great. Why am I like not super sold on this. Like I still like it, don't get me wrong, I think it's a tremendous value for money, but I'm not like super stoked about this because D-Hop does not appear to me as a guy that's like super willing to take a second seat or third seat. And that's kind of what they need of him. Like they need of him to be second or even third wide receiver, and like what fourth, fifth option for Lamar Jackson, not number one or number two. So he could be a problem in the locker room, I think. But again, like for this money, even if that happens, like okay, you say, well, bye-bye, doesn't really matter. So I like this signing. Don't necessarily feel like this is the best signing ever. Like I really like it though. Pardon the noises. I don't know what is it with the cats. They seem to be very playful whenever I'm recording. Other signings, yeah, I like them also. Chidobe Awuzie for this amount of money. Like, great freaking value. Ben Cleveland, very nice swing player for them. Two very cheap and very solid signings. Like, when you really look at this, like they, I don't think abused, but they used the fact that they are Super Bowl contenders, and they were like, okay, let's look at cheap money deals for guys that nobody wants to pay like a long-term deal, so they want to prove themselves, or they actually earn money and now they want to win rings. Yeah, this is the room to be, and they absolutely got really nice out of it. So what does it mean for their lineup? Obviously, there is still some question marks, especially with Patrick McCarry actually being let go, about their interior situation. Because Andrew Voorhees last year, didn't necessarily play super great. Daniel Fala also, is this the greatest guard in the league? Hell no. But it's good that Roger Rosengarten actually worked for them as good as he did in year one. I feel like that was also the case why it was easier to let go Patrick McCarry, because he has the guard tackle swing possibility. And when you look at this, yes, they have these two, let's say, young, not necessarily great guards in Falala and Voorhees. But yeah, they have Ben Cleveland that could, get in and provide very solid floor. But also, you can stomach that, I think, quite nicely when you have pretty much no two weaklings next to each other, because next to guard is always Tyler Linderbaum. Stop it. And from the other side, Ronnie Stanley and Roger Rosengarten. So they might still look and try to invest in this group, or they could really, I feel take this five and actually make them starters and be okay with that. Lamar, obviously, yeah, he's going to be starter. What a shock. In terms of playmakers, I feel like they're kind of set. Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Rashid Bateman, and Jordan Hopkins. I mean, for what they want to do, this is a really special group. The one huge question is not about 2025, it's what's going to happen after, because Andrews, Likely, Henry, they all have 1 year left on their deals. So will they kind of continue to be this 12, 13 personnel run-heavy team, or will they try to become more, Bengals like really about throwing the ball? Because I feel like Lamar can do it, but I definitely do prefer this version of the Ravens. But the question is can you continue to be like that with all of these guys only on 1 year contracts? We'll see. But yeah, in terms of playmakers, I think they are absolutely set. They might still draft for these positions because we talk about the future, and when you look at this group, Bateman has 2 years, Flowers has 2 years plus 5-year option, and all of the other guys is only 1 year left. And they also have some nice backups. We already talked about Cooper Rush, Justice Hill. I think he looked phenomenal last season, and they obviously still have Keaton Mitchell, who, if he can stay healthy, he's hell of a weapon. The problem is he cannot stay healthy. They kind of miss, I feel backup tackle. So that would be definitely something I'm looking in terms in terms of draft. And yeah, I really like Charlie Kolar as a fourth tight end that is definitely going to get his playing time with this team. And it's really not a problem that they kind of don't have the really good 4-5 receiver. They have Tylan Wallace, they have Devonta Scott, Walker, like it's like whatever. And I feel like they could really, if they continue to be like 12, 14 personnel team, really trying to sign cheap veteran year after year, could be a play for them. In terms of defense, this team is also like quite nicely set up. Devin Jones and Nnamdi Madueke, Kyle Van Noy, Olaf Elbeck, you really like that. The problem is both Van Noy and Elbeck has just one more year, so maybe you have to look for the future here. The only question that I have about this starters, because I think like pretty much 5 of them are set in stone, it's Trenton Simpson, because I like Trenton Simpson. I think he's a great athlete, and he should, in theory, be a great fit for Rock One. You have the brains in Rock One, and you have the freak athlete that he's kind of plugging a PlayStation control and kind of letting Trenton know where should he go. But he got benched mid part of last season, and their defense got much better. So the question is was it about Trenton? How do they view him? But I still think he has a really good future for them. In terms of secondary, you pretty much are missing a safety here. I like Ardarius Washington, and I like Kyle Hamilton not having to play only safety. I like to have him as kind of my wild card. In terms of corners, Marlon Humphrey against Chidobe Awuzie, that's a pretty great trio. So to me, they are missing one safety here, and they are definitely set. I don't want to demote Kyle Hamilton to the only safety duties. And with that being said, they have quite a solid backups, especially for this defensive line. Not necessarily super excited, but still some youth that could get a shot here. Really missing safety, and perhaps that second linebacker spot depends on how much you think about Trenton Simpson. But overall, there is kind of clear that this team is a Super Bowl contender, so it's hard to find a glaring weakness on this team. That being said, how I would approach this draft. So with that being said, here's how I would approach the draft for the Ravens. And it was pretty much looking at the possible weaknesses that this roster have for now. I am on a premium in that, and then I'm looking for my needs 1 year down the line. So pretty much when the board fall the way it did, I felt like Grace Abel is the best option for me at 27, because to me he projects as a very, very good guard in the NFL. To me he probably would be a starter, but if not, he is a very good, let's say, sixth man to have on the bench, because he has tackle guard flexibility, and I do really believe that he would be a starter, if not this year, then the next year. With that being said, I focused on secondary. Like I said, Kyle Hamilton, I don't want to chain him to just be a safety, so I went for the best safety on the board. It was Nick Manvore, and I didn't stop there, because, whilst I feel like Ardarius Washington is a very solid safety, he only has 1 year left on his contract, and this team is not necessarily swimming in cap space, so having double dipping into the safety market when there was really good safeties on board, I felt like it's a very, very sensible decision. With that being said, I also went with Mal Dotson, who I feel like not necessarily year one, but could be a starter when Chidobe Awuzie is gone next season, or he can fight for that spot, and he's a very solid backup. So that was the first 3 was the guys that I expect to be starting year one, or fighting for a starting job. Mel Dotson was kind of thinking slightly ahead, but also really good backup, and with the rest of these guys, it was pretty much what I think my needs are going to be for 2025 or 2026 and going forward. So I started with Trevor Etienne, who I feel like obviously has a brother in the NFL, if you didn't know, but very, very solid running back that could not necessarily take on the shoes of Derrick Henry, but if you decide Justice Hill is your feature back, which could be, he could be a very nice backup. And with the rest of these guys, we talk about all of the tight ends only have 1 year left on their deal, so Mitchell Evans feels like very, very natural successor to one of these 3 roles, and other guys as well here. Also, this is probably one team that I actually drafted a kicker, because well, let's face it, the situation with Justin Tucker is very murky, to say at least. And he was, I think, or I believe that Fisher is like the best kicker like available in this draft. So spending a 7th round, I do not mind. So that would be your Ravens. Now let's go towards Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, they are still looking for a QB. Is it going to be Aaron Rodgers? Will my crazy thought about DJ Watt and a couple of 1st round picks trading up to get number 1 and Cam Ward, could that happen? We will see. With that being said, let's take a look at their departure this offseason. And Justin Fields obviously could have been the option that they would resign, but okay. But it really feel like they kind of burned that bridge. It's similar like to Russell Wilson. It's like they had actually like a solid plan for 2024, and it seems like with benching they kind of burned the bridge with Fields, and with some some stories that leaked from the team, it felt like Russell Wilson's bridge is also like gone. So it was like, who is our QB next? And it always felt like Aaron Rodgers could be the guy, but we are sitting here 17th of April or 18th of April, and he is still not there. And like, okay, what are we doing? Yeah, this is MMA, private MMA, so sorry guys, I got distracted, but it was a good fight. I don't think anybody won, but they like each other, I think. No, they do, but you know, cats, they have to fight amongst each other to keep themselves occupied and fun. But let's come back to the QB situation. Like, it's still unknown who is going to be their QB as of right now. It still feels like it's going to be Aaron Rodgers, but yeah, the situation is just weird. James Daniels, I think he got very small amount of money on the market because of his injury that he suffered last year. I think he's a very good guard. I do understand that Steelers kind of went, we are going to have a young goal line, and they kind of drafted really, really well last season. So I don't mind him going, but for this price, I would actually rather have him back. Najee Harris also felt like the bridge is kind of burned with him. Whether it's like they want Jalen Warren to be their feature back, but it doesn't really feel that way even, because he has only 1 year contract from them. So it's like a weird situation. I really like Najee towards Chargers. So yeah, they kind of lost a couple of players that I really like the fits elsewhere. And did they necessarily replace them? Well, not really. About the other guys that they've lost, Allen Roberts is one I am like kind of baffled, because $3 million for this guy that is to me very, very good linebacker, not necessarily a guy that you use for 1,000 snaps, but what he does really freaking well. So for this amount of money, I feel like he would suit them quite nicely. I really don't know why they allowed him to go. Larry Ogunjobi, and then more for the money that they have been signed for other teams. Obviously, you have to let them go, as well as Larry Ogunjobi having a 6-week suspension. So yeah, those are the guys that they are not. I'm not going to say they are not going to miss, because Darmore is like nice tackle swing, but yeah, for the money, that was never an option to bring him back. Russell Wilson departure, the same. Like I talk about Justin Fields, like it felt like. They kind of burned that bridge, and truth to be told, if they could have Russell Wilson back for $11 million, I mean, like I do understand Steelers fan. It's like, yeah, but we didn't win playoffs and Russell didn't look amazing. Like, was he top 20 QB in the league last season? Now you have DK Metcalf and George Pickens. Don't you think he will be even better? Troy Fatano was injured. James Daniels was injured. Like, and again, like, this team is not supposed to be about this offense having to put up 25, 30 points for you guys to win. Like, if they score 20 points, this team should be winning based on how much they spend on the defense. So, if you are moaning and barking about Russell Wilson not being top 10 QB, well, you were paying him like $1.2 million. What are you barking about? And again, like, if you could have him for $11 million, I mean, I think that would be a bargain for this team. I don't know, like, weird. I'm not saying that the fit was superb, but with DK and George Pickens, I think he could have had really something. Deontay Jackson, again, for the money that the Chargers signed him for, I definitely understand not re-signing him. So that being said, we pretty much covered the departures for the Steelers. Now let's talk about who they brought. Darius Slay, big play Slay, a guy that was released from the Eagles. They brought him for 1 year, $10 million deal. I like it because, let's be fair, entering 2024, we thought, well, Steelers have their number one corner in Joey Porter, but he disappointed quite spectacularly. Like, he did not have a good season. Now you have a veteran, you have a guy that, could lead him, could talk to him, hopefully like kind of ended out on Bryce Young type of relationship for corners, and also could be a guy that takes tougher matchups, kind of eases the pressure on Joey Porter, and like I really like that. Also, like, he gives you a strong cornerback duo with Joey Porter, in my opinion. Then they re-signed Jaylen Warren, it was kind of restricted free agent, some type of tender, 1 year, $5.3 million. Like, it's a solid deal. It doesn't stop you from drafting a running back for sure. DK Metcalf, this one is big because it's an overpay for DK, in my opinion. I don't think he necessarily justified the amount of money that they paid him. Not by long shot, but yeah, kind of. I feel like it's a bit overpaid. I like DK Metcalf. I really, really do. But why I actually give this a B is I hope that this signals that the Steelers are actually thinking about the league strength, and that you just cannot give 65% of the money towards your defense and expect to win. It's just super hard, near the impossible in the modern NFL to do this. You need to spend on your offense, and hopefully this is a step one for the Steelers to do so. So that's why I really like it, because they actually went and got a guy for them. Again, if they resign Russell Wilson, this could have been even better, because I really feel like Russell plus Pickens plus Metcalf, young offensive line, hopefully great running back or whoever you bring from the draft, and still exceptional defense, that could have been a recipe for success for this team. I'm not saying that it cannot happen with Aaron Rodgers, obviously it can. So that's pretty much the main points. They also brought some, I would say, veterans here. They brought Mason Rudolph back, kind of whatever move. Like, he's a solid backup, nothing more, nothing else. They know what he is in Pittsburgh. I think he has, like, not necessarily a bit loved there, but yeah, they kind of like him. Juan Thornhill, really like this signing. I think he's a very cheap option for them to improve the safety room, to kind of give you that safety too next to Minka. And for 1 year, I think $3 million is very, very nice deal. What I don't understand necessarily is like Malik Harrison. I mean, I get the trend of take a linebacker that was kind of having his rookie deal somewhere else and then sign him and hope for the best. But it's not cheap necessarily. Like, it's $5 million a year. Also, he did not necessarily produce not like almost anything in the league, and also, linebacker is kind of the position that you don't need to strengthen. You have Cole Holcomb, you have Patrick Queen, you could have brought Elandon Roberts back for cheaper than this. Come on. And you also have Peyton Wilson, whom you drafted last year. So, yeah, this really is not my favorite signing. Why is it even D+? It's just that it follows this logic that, linebacker, it takes time. So it's better, like, if some other franchise spends time to develop this guy and we now pick up the fruits. But yeah, that's pretty much all I can say, like, positive. It's also like the guarantees are not super high, so they have a kind of a cheap way to avoid this deal after the season. This leaves us with this type of offense. Obviously, who is going to be a QB is still a question mark. I don't know, like, to me, if I am Steelers, I will repeat my crazy draft scenario. I would say TJ Watt, first round this year, first round next year. Hello Titans, I will give you a call. I think Titans should be on the phone with this deal, immediately shipping TJ Watt to Lions or someone else, getting plethora of draft picks, rejuvenate that team with those great draft picks that they would recall from this deal, give one year chance to Will Levis. If he doesn't improve, it likely means that we are picking top 5, top 7 next year, and we have an additional first round pick that we can take and move up to kind of have pretty much our QB of choice. So that would be what I would do. What it would give to Steelers, it would give them Cam Ward, who I think is a really good, not a special prospect, but definitely a guy that can lead you from the purgatory, that it would give you QB on a cheap deal, relatively cheap deal for 5 next year. And like losing TJ Watt, it sucks. Yeah, it sucks, but he still has 0 playoff wins. And it's not on TJ, right? But like, that's when I was talking about DK Metcalf. Like, you need to spend money on offense. You need to spend resources on offense. You cannot just go like, yeah, we take Kenny Pickett and hope for the best. Like, it's not working. Do something. And like when you look at Alex Highsmith and Nick Herbig, you are kind of prepared to lose TJ Watt. And I'm not saying he's not going to be missed. Like, he will. I freaking understand that he's a leader. He's a freaking great player. I love TJ Watt. Don't get me wrong. That's why I like think that this would make this deal would be like even allowed, or like Titans would pick up the call. But this is your chance. This could be your chance to really try to go for a big swing. And maybe it would screw you up. Maybe it would not work. Cam Ward would be just, kind of a bust, like Mitch Trubisky, whatever. But at least you would give it a try. Right now, I get with Aaron Rodgers, maybe it's going to work for 1 year. Same with Russell Wilson. But where do you see Steelers in 2 years, 3 years, if they continue to do this? Yeah, it's going to be 9-win team, nothing else. Good luck with that. Let's talk about this online because it's actually quite a nice group that has one big question mark, and that's actually not Mason McCormick, who I understand, like, he's probably least proven and even by my ratings the worst player here. But I think the biggest question mark is actually Broderick Jones, because he is the guy that we've invested quite heavily like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Let me recheck on that one. Yeah, 2 years ago. And as of right now, like he kind of got slightly benched by Dan Moore outplayed him. Like, if Troy Fautanu was healthy last year, I don't know if Broderick Jones would be starting. So he is kind of a question mark. Obviously, Troy Fautanu is also a question mark because like he played 1 game and got injured. So are you soft in terms of tackles, or are you actually in need of an upgrade? That's kind of a big year for Broderick Jones, and in a way for Troy Fautanu, because he missed the whole season. In terms of what you have in the middle, Zach Frazier and Isaac Selmo, I think are rock solid. Mason McCormick, I think he's going to work. I feel like he looked solid. I think he's going to become like a decent to good starter, and a guy that, like, if you have this on a cheap rookie deal, you are absolutely happy about that. So that's how I view their offensive line, and I really like the approach last season. They pretty much brought Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, Troy Fautanu all within 1 draft, and if Troy Fautanu didn't get injured, it could have been really great last season as well. In terms of playmakers, I think for this season you are set. DK and George Pickens. I think Kelvin Austin kind of complements them very, very well. In terms of tight ends, Darnell Washington and Pat Farmer are also very nice, like mesh duo. And also, I feel like Darnell Washington is very prime example of a tight end that you want to have when your offense is run by I mean, you know me and my name recollection. Arthur Smith, me and names. So it actually is very well put up for what type of offense you should be expecting from them. And also, it's again, I will repeat myself. If you are not trading TJ Watt, you should be expecting to win if you put up 20 to 22 points, 20 to 25. Because you are paying huge amount of money, huge amount of proportion of your money to your defense. So if you score 20 to 25, that should be enough. Is it going to be in playoffs? Probably not, but that's the approach of the Steelers. With that being said, they also have very solid depth. Connor Hayward, I think, definitely fits what Arthur Smith wants to do. He wants to run the ball. Connor Hayward is a very nice blocker. Put him towards Darnell Washington. One thing that I'm going to say, if they will make DK Metcalf actually blocking like playing hard, because that's something that sometimes was a bit of a frustration with him at Seahawks. Like, he was not playing as big as he looks. So if they could like put it in him and really kind of treat every defensive back as someone that he doesn't like he's Jalen Ramsey and someone sometimes when he like bites in, you can see how he drives corners. Like, he likes to dominate them, but you need that. Like, if you can get that on consistent basis, that would be freaking amazing for them. With the rest, Corey Patterson, Mason Rudolph, like, I think you are definitely missing another like running back for sure. Corey Patterson is kind of still a nice option for some of the packages. Also, depth on this offensive line is not exceptional, so I do expect them to still look there. With that being said, let's take a look at defense, and defense is pretty much set up. Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, Alex Highsmith, TJ Watt. Like, what do you want me to say? This is an exceptional D-line. Cameron Hayward, like, what a freaking year. I just absolutely admire the shit out of this guy. Like, what a freaking year. And Alex Highsmith is the best number 2 in the league. I would say he would be number 1 for like half of the team in the league almost. In terms of linebackers, I do have my questions, because Patrick Queen last year was kind of... it was clear that his best year was next to Roquan, and I'm a little bit worried. I think they have a way out of that contract after the season, and it's not a cheap contract, let's face it. So he kind of, I think, plays for his job for next season. Next to him, Peyton Wilson, I think he was very solid for them. They also have Cole Holcomb as a backup. Really, like, this is set up. Like, you know you are good. You spend here. When you know you are not necessarily great is secondary, but you've invested here as well. Like, they brought Darius Slay, as we talked about it. They also have Juan Thornhill, who is not even here. They still, I think, in my eyes, they do miss yet another corner. I do like Benny Bishop. I don't necessarily want him to start. And also, Darius Slay is here for 1 year, and Joey Porter, we don't know. So I definitely do expect them to still invest premium into this position. But Minka and Deshaun Elliott with Juan Thornhill, at least in terms of safeties, you are absolutely set up. So when you look at this defense, you pretty much have a question mark about Patrick Queen, perhaps, but you have Cole Holcomb, you have Roman Wilson. It's like, yeah, you are Peyton Wilson. I'm sorry, you are okay, and you definitely have question marks about this cornerback room. That's pretty much the only question marks you have. In terms of backups, yeah, could you use some guy? I would say you probably look at some defensive tackle in this draft, because, well, Cam Hayward probably is not going to play in the next 5 years, but like, this guy is so crazy that maybe he could. I don't know. And you obviously are looking ahead at corners. Obviously, if you would trade TJ Watt, well, then you are looking at edge as well, but we know it's not going to happen, unfortunately, in my eyes. Now, with that being said, let's see how I approach their draft. And they don't necessarily have too many draft picks, because they obviously send their second round for DK Metcalf. So one kind of board settled for me. I was looking at this and I'm like, so do I want to invest in my corner? Or am I like, well, I hope Benny Bishop is actually going to make it and I will look there next off season? I was like, yeah, let's go. Because I really feel like Jalen Warren is a good player. He's a good running back. I don't think he's like a free down back. I feel like he needs another guy next to him, like someone that he can split 60-40. And Omari Hampton, to me, is the second best running back in this draft, and absolute star that could overtake Jalen Warren's job. They could share the role. And for what you want to do with this offense and like overall with this team, they want to shorten the game. They want to have small amount of possession so their defense can dominate. They want to have possession of the ball. So you want to run the ball. So when I was deciding between corner and running back, and running back at this position, I was like, okay, Omari Hampton is still on the board. I have to take him. With that being said, then I went like, yeah, I still feel like we need someone to back up this offensive line. And Marcus Ambo felt like a really nice choice for that. To me, he is like kind of rightfully in that third round tier. So I don't necessarily call this a steal, but he's definitely a guy that has upside to overtake Broderick Jones if he struggles. as well as just having solid enough floor that if Jones or Faetano goes down, I do not feel like this is okay. I don't. Yeah, let's do it. This is not Titans and Nicolas Petit-Frere that like you have a turnstile as your tackle. Ty Robinson, I don't understand why this is a D-. I feel like to me, he is a guy that could go slightly higher than even a 4th round. Not necessarily too much, but slightly. And he's like very, very athletic. I feel like he misses some of the like technique. He also has like a small arms for how big he is. So it's kind of a weird, weird combo. But let's face it, here you have Cam Hayward, you have Mike Tomlin. Like, if you are a great player, if the great player is in you, they will get it out of you. So I really feel like it's in him. Then there was a chance to take Quinn Ewers. He was still on the board. I feel like Pittsburgh definitely, whether Aaron Rodgers signs or not, and unless they go for Cam Ward or like Shadow Sanders falls to them and they will go with Shadow, I feel like they definitely should be taking a guy in 3rd or 4th or 5th round, because there is, I would say, like 6 to 7 really nice guys that provide a solid floor, but perhaps have upside to be like 20 to 25 best QB. And when I was like saying you cannot win like that when you invest in guys like Kenny Pickett, well, it's different when you spend 1st round pick and 5th round pick, because you can always get someone better and actually invest this. Like 5th round pick, it's like a huge value in my eyes. Like these guys, it's going to be interesting how the league like values them, how the teams value them, because it's like, while this draft is really lacking to me top end talent in terms of QBs, in terms of like these guys that are going to be immediately from like 45, 50-ish best to, I don't know, 70-ish best QB with some upside, there's a lot of them. And I really wonder like how soon or how late they will go. And with that being said, like I was like, okay, then let's check what are my options. Let's invest some things in my backups. Then Saborg, I feel like he could be a fit here. Does not necessarily feel like he is good enough to be a starter right away. So he doesn't like solves the problem. So this kind of says like, I trust Mina Bishop, or we still are going to look at the free agency market there. So that was your Pittsburgh Steelers. Now let's finish this division with talking about Bengals. And Bengals of season, yeah, let's start with departures. Akeem Davis Gaither, Alex Kappa. I mean, I understand letting both of these guys go. I like Alex Kappa and the fit with the Raiders, but here he was the worst piece of that offensive line, and I kind of understand why they just wanted to like move past that. Sheldon Rankins, it didn't really work here, but to me he's still a good player on like a position that is scarce of kind of this tier 3 players that if they are starting for you, it's like, okay, you kind of can stomach that. But if you can get one for cheap, like $5 million a year, and he's kind of your number 2, number 3, I feel like the market is kind of scarce for these guys, and it kind of sucks to lose him. Trenton Brown, it's like, yeah, you tried. Obviously, he got injured because that's unfortunately how his career is kind of turning out. Yeah, understand, kind of trying to go for like a more long-term solution. Mike Hilton and Von Bell, it's like they're both available, and it's like interesting with Mike Hilton because he is still an exceptional player in my eyes, and I wonder what is it about that he is still not signed with someone else, or why he is not back here, because it's not like they have plethora of great corners. Also, it might be like they just want to like wait out and hope that they can get him for cheap, because like Spotrac previews his contract to be like north of 12 million, which is quite a lot of money. So it's kind of cat and mouse in my eyes, because they're kind of, well, you are not getting contract from someone else, let's come back. And he was like, well, but I'm worth it. So we will see where he ends up. He would be a big loss in my eyes if they cannot find a way to bring him back. With Von Bell, kind of get why we're kind of letting him go, even though he is still a solid player. Of course, their offseason was kind of all about re-signings, and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins was obviously top of the list, as well as Trey Hendrickson, trade talk. They were able to re-sign both of these guys. With Jamar Chase, the only reason why it's just a B from me and it's not an A, it's because it took so long that like Myles Garrett contract superseded, and I feel like if they've done it like 2 months earlier, they would have saved like 15 millions, which like I don't understand. Like, it was clear you are resigning Jamar Chase. Like, why is it taking so long? It's like weird. I don't understand necessarily all the moves that this franchise is making. With T. Higgins, I actually like the deal much more because, well, for T. Higgins, I actually thought that they kind of got a discount, which I was a little bit surprised about. And also the guarantees are not super high, so it was really a little bit weird. Also, T. Higgins is not defensive tackle, but a wide receiver. I'm sorry for that. I don't think he would be a good defensive tackle. Though he could be, some passer. I'm not sure. But yeah, obviously these are both great re-signings for the Bengals. Only thing that knocks this down is like I think like they could have saved some money if they got Jamar Chase deal done sooner. And for T. Higgins, I'm like, if I would have to choose between having Trey Hendrickson and T. Higgins, I would have chosen Trey Hendrickson, because to me, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase is superb enough to give this offense still a great amount of play. This defense without Trey Hendrickson last year would be, worse than Panthers. Like, they were that bad. So they also brought back some of the other guys. Cody Ford, okay, like whatever. It's cheap in terms of guarantees, in terms of actual cap hits. It's not super cheap, but okay. Mike Gesicki, he is a nice fit, but like, was there necessarily a market in which like he would get more than 6-7 millions a year? So I feel like you could have resigned him for cheaper, because I feel like this is kind of the best spot that he can hope for. The scheme fits him. Joe Burrow obviously is a great fit for him. He's kind of their third wide receiver behind Jamar and T. I don't know. It felt like this is not necessarily a super value still. I still like it because I feel like this is very nice place for him, and they should have make this deal. I feel like they could have done it slightly cheaper. Now, with a couple of cheap signings in Lucas Patrick and Samaje Perine, I absolutely like Lucas Patrick signing, because to me he was really good last year, and now he comes for 1 year, very cheap deal. Again, like, I'm not saying this is necessarily comparable to like Kevin Zeitler or Morgan Moses, that I feel like got criminally underpaid, but Lucas Patrick for this amount of money feels wrong. I do understand that like his he was not superb for the Packers, he was not superb for the Bears, but I don't feel like he actually played some of his best footballs last year with the Saints, and to only get this on the market where it was still scarce for like a good offensive lineman, that feels like a steal to me. They made big signing in terms of B.J. Hill. It's kind of like 11, not like signing or re-signing, in terms of 11 million a year. I like it. Why? Because, well, this defense needs something, and B.J. Hill was like kind of only thing that sometimes work beside Trey Hendrickson last season from the D-line. And also, like, this position is secretly very expensive, and getting a guy that you know what you are going to get from him. I feel like this was a little bit of the discount for a player of his quality, and he is going to be 30 entering the season, so I don't necessarily expect him to like drop off massively. And you also, like, in case that would happen, like post second year, you have really easy way out of this contract. So I really like how this contract is structured for the Bengals. So that leaves us with this last page of their of guys they brought in. Darius Slayton, like, I applaud you trying to improve this defensive line. Is Darius Slayton on $7 million a year necessarily a value? No, it's kind of a body that you need. With like this draft actually having a lot of good defensive tackles, I would probably save money and pay Trey Hendrickson rather than bring Darius Slayton. But I cannot say this is like a bad signing. Joseph Osai, kind of whatever. And what I absolutely like is Oren Burks. Like, have you seen this guy in the playoffs? Like, he was freaking exceptional. So, like, he is older. Like, he is 30. But I think, like, he's going to be their starting linebacker. And actually, like, okay, they have Logan Wilson. They have Jermaine Pratt. But they could go for, like, 3 linebacker set. And I feel like he's going to have, like, 400, 500 snaps for them. And is going to look very, very good. And for 2.7 million or like 2.5 million on a 2-year deal, it's not even like 1 year cheap deal. It's like kind of 2 years very cheap deal in my eyes. Only 0.8 guarantees. I mean, again, like one of the most value per buck signings of this offseason to me. This is. We will see how that ages. Now let's look at how this lineup is actually projecting. So this would be probably their starting lineup as of right now in terms of their offensive line. Clearly, when you look at this, you have Lucas Patrick for 1 year. Cordell Wilson, I think, is also for 1 year. You have him. You also have him for 1 year, and it's not like he necessarily showed anything like super nice that you would be like, yeah, we have to resign him and he is the future of this offensive line. Ted Karras to the center, yeah, that definitely works. I don't know why I have him as an offensive guard, sorry. Yeah, he's a center, but yeah, there's like flexibility with him and Lucas Patrick, I think. Amarius Mims, you definitely hope that he is your franchise tackle for the future. For Orlando Brown, Karen Fulker left tackle. Like, is this a great O-line? Hell no. It should allow Joe Burrow to do what he does, but I think it's still worth investing, especially in terms of guards or over the whole interior, because Todd Karras also has 1 year left. So pretty much you have 3 guys that are on 1 year deals. You have Cody Ford that I don't really like as a backup, that he's there for 2 years. And beside that, you have Matt Lee, who I don't think played a single snap last season. So, yeah, wonder where this draft is going to take us, right? In terms of playmakers, I feel like Chase Brown kind of did enough to earn himself a starting job, though NFL is cruel, and this is a year where there is a really good running back class, and I would not be surprised with Zach Moss only have 1 year, Samaje Perine is kind of like veteran, whatever. Maybe he will still bring and invest into running back room, though. Like, they've tried, like, bring some guys in Zach Moss and Kyle Herbert and Chase Brown was like, no, it's my spot. I think he actually earned himself this opportunity, and they might look at the running back in the next draft, or at least like with like premium picks. In terms of other playmakers, it feels like, again, you have T. Higgins, you have Jamar Chase. It's like, do you have a free? Not necessarily. Andre Osivas, I mean, there is a plethora of players that could fight for the spot. It's Osivas, it's Burton, Tyler Jones, like whatever. It's like TFG a lot of the time talks about like, what do you have prime duo? Like, when you target your number 3, it only takes targets from these 2 great guys. So do you necessarily like need a great 3? And I'm like, probably not, especially when you have Mike Gesicki on kind of like that complements T. Higgins and Jamar Chase very, very well. So yeah, I think like you are absolutely okay. Would I like hesitate to bring great tight end into the mix? No, really not. But yeah, I feel like they kind of made their hand with long-term resigning of Mike Gesicki, and obviously in last year's draft they brought Eric Cole, whom we going to see here. So it really feels like their offense is kind of set up, with exception of the offensive line, and especially like backups, and pretty much talking about what's going to happen in 2026, and perhaps running back room. Jake Browning, I think, is a very, very good backup for them. This is obviously not his stat from 2024, but from 2023, and I just want to keep them here because like he was very solid for them. So yeah, I think he's a perfect backup for Joe Burrow, and I wouldn't put it past like Jake Browning. It was like, yeah, I'm going to be backup here for 10 years and have like, I don't know, earning 25 millions, perhaps like winning a Super Bowl ring, because like he is perfect to be Joe Burrow's backup. So that's actually a really nice spot to be in. So that's the offense. Now let's talk about this defense. Obviously, there's still a big question mark about Trey Hendrickson's future. So let's use how we view this draft, because like with Trey, you have different priorities. Without him, you need to address this room. So I went about like assigning how I would think about this starting lineup in terms of, well, we've invested in some young talents, and it's not like when we used veterans it necessarily worked super well. So let's go with BJ Hill, Trey Hendrickson. That gives us a good floor, and let's let Chris Jenkins and Miles Murphy swim and hope for the best. Would this work? Is it necessarily a great recipe for success? No, but I would start with that. Like, give it 4 or 5 weeks. Like, you suck from the get-go anyway, so like whatever. And you kind of need these guys to work eventually, because it's not like you necessarily have plethora of backups. I have Joseph Ossai, Terrell Slayton. Like, yeah, that's pretty much it. Good luck with that. And it's like, do you invest in this group like heavily? I think if Trey Hendrickson is gone, you have to. But if he's not, like you've already done that and you didn't get rewards. And these guys, like, you kind of need to know what they are. So it's interesting situation, because they could really try to bring premium players or spend premium picks for this position. And they could also look at it like, no, we still have Trey. We have these guys that we've invested heavily in the past, and we want to see what they are capable of. Really interesting situation. I wonder what they will do, because yeah, this is one of the teams that is more a mystery to me in terms of how they will approach this, especially with like Trey Hendrickson being on the trade block is still looming all over them. In terms of linebackers room, I feel like this room is definitely set. Will they prolong Jermaine Pratt post this season? I'm not sure. Like I said, I really like Oren Burks, so I would not mind like going cheaper there, because Jermaine Pratt would require something around 8 to 10 million a year. That's not a small amount for this team. Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, and Oren Burks. Yeah, I love that. Now let's look at this secondary, because it's far from special. You have really young secondary. Let's say it like this, because the oldest player here is 26. So again, very, very interesting, because Dax Hill, Cam Taylor, Geno Stone, they have 1 year left on the contract. You also have Jordan Battle and DJ Turner, who had 2 years left. And like, is this secondary great? No. Could they evolve to be great? I think so. But they could also just be like below average or even bad, and especially when you don't necessarily have a great defensive line beside Trey Hendrickson, they would get exposed. So yet again, like, do you try to improve your defensive line? That would mean resign Trey Hendrickson and actually spend there, and with that you hope that this young secondary can actually live up to the expectations and have a chance to do it, because suddenly the quarterback of the opponent doesn't have 4 or 5 seconds to throw the ball? Or do you try to invest in this group because you are like, okay, these guys were like okay, but not great, and we still might look at improving these guys, or like not resigning them. So again, very, very interesting situation. How I would do it, honestly, I would probably invest in defensive line. I would definitely try to resign Trey Hendrickson and kind of keep the secondary as it is. Will they do it? I'm not necessarily sure. In terms of backups, yeah, another like point towards drafting someone towards the secondary is you kind of have 6 guys that I semi-like, and that's pretty much it. They have another like 10 guys, but neither of them I would be like confident enough if they were starting or like even playing like more than 5 to 10 snaps a game. Also, in terms of defensive line, you don't necessarily have like a great, like you have some depth, not necessarily great depth. So with that, let's take a look how I approached their draft. And I was actually wheeling and dealing with this one because to me it felt like I am not one premium player away from like being great. Like they are great, but to me they have more than like one hole that I want to address. So I was like, okay, I would rather have more picks in that second to third round or like late first than have like the 17th pick. So we kind of dealt with the Bills, which would allow me, at least in my eyes, to really think about like 4. I don't necessarily like with running back. I'm not necessarily saying like bad spots for me, but really places that I want to improve this lineup on. So first, I went for Michael Williams. I'm really like, well, I like I need to prove myself, for post Trey Hendrickson era because I don't know. And even if he's not traded, he only has 1 year left on his deal. And like, are you going to overpay him after like just prolonging this misery between each other for so long? I'm like, really weird situation. So it's like whether it's for this year or for next year, it doesn't seem like Trey Hendrickson is going to be Bengal, for the future. So that's what I went for. With that being said, like they have 2 like solid safeties. They have like some room to grow, but A, they don't necessarily have a third one. B, neither one of them like screams top potential in my eyes. Nick Emanvori, I think, has that. Ted Rutledge, again, like when I look at this team, I feel like I need to prepare myself for the future. And even like right now, I don't have backups for this offensive line. And Ted Rutledge, can fight Cordell Wilson or Lucas Patrick for the starting job in my eyes. Winston Judkins, I struggled with that because, like I said, I feel like Chase Brown earned this opportunity. But when Quinton Judkins was still on the board, I was like, dude, can I really not take him here? I was like, I cannot. So I went for this. It doesn't say, or it doesn't mean, at least in my eyes, that Chase Brown should not be my number 1 for this year. It kind of means like we can cut Zach Moss and save. Let me check how much we could save by cutting Zach Moss. Yeah, it's saving 3 million still, 3.4. So yeah, this move would mean having 3.4 million more for some veteran signings in the rest of the offseason, as well as having this success plan to Chase Brown, or like this really nice one to punch even when we pay Chase Brown, because I don't think drafting Quinton Judkins like stops me from paying Chase Brown. Then it was like Joshua Farmer. Yeah, I am really in the business of bringing as much talent to this defensive line as I can. Joshua to me is a guy that could go like as highly as like 80 to 90. With PFF having him 135, I think that's way too low. To me, he's going to probably go like between 100 and 120. I feel like he fits here quite nicely. and he's like a good player. And then like one more like player that I wanted to talk about is this F grade for Holland Pierce. I mean, I want to, if anyone like wants to make a bet with me, I bet you that Bengals will draft either Holland Pierce or Jalen Travis. You know, look at the size of these guys, look at the tackles that they have, you will understand why. So I don't really give a crap that it says F here. It's 5th round. I'm looking for a fit. Holland Pierce is absolutely Bengals type of a tackle. Trust me. Him or Jalen Travis. I think Jalen Travis was already off the board in this scenario. So this is how I would approach. It's like this team, obviously, it's Joe Burrow, it's Jamar Chase, it's T. Higgins. I don't really know what they are doing with Trey Hendrickson. I feel like this defense, without him, is going to struggle heavily because the secondary is not great enough to overcome lack of top-end pass rush, as we've seen last offseason. And Miles Murphy just has not produced, not anything, but nearly anything. So, you know, I think if they trade Trey Hendrickson, to me, they would probably make them like lose from the Super Bowl bubble of teams that I feel like has, let's say, 5% chance or more of winning a Super Bowl. Well, currently I have Bengals in there. I think if they trade Trey and don't necessarily bring like a top-end guy in replacement, which I don't know who would that be as of right now, yeah, that would probably do it for him. So this is the end of the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It's like super fun reviewing this as I'm preparing for the draft. I am really excited for the draft night. For first day, most likely for second day, you will see so many shorts from me, drafting, grading every single player. If you want to follow me and some of my thoughts and like more immediate response, do it on Twitter or just comment under this video. Everything you do is very well appreciated. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. And bye. See you with the next one very, very soon.